Hello, BookTube. It's time for the beginning of my shelf tours. And the vote is in, and poetry has won, hands down. I will get to the others, so no fear. As you can see, I've cleared off 3 shelves. We'll see how far we can get to. I'm hoping I can do 3 shelves in one video because there's 2 large sets that were there. On the top shelf, there was the brown books, which are actually Robert Browning. They're not quite brown, they're sort of greenish color. It's an 18-volume set, and it is published in 1888 by Smith Elder and Company from London, Poetic Works of Robert Browning. And that's volume 1. And this is Pauline Sardello. I must say that I've not read everything that's here. I was able to pick up some sets early on very, very, very cheaply. So I've bought them. And unless it's a poet I really, really like, I won't be reading from cover to cover. I will dip in and read bits and pieces as I do Browning, and I've got, I think, some other smaller volumes of Browning as well. Now, that's volume 1. Just going to be dumping them on the floor here as I do them. Volume 2, it's a uniform set, and this is Pericles Strafford at 1888 as well. It's nice to get these complete sets like this because the printing is nice. It's easy to read. It's nicely laid out. This is sort of, 1800s, but it may not be fully complete as some of the newer ones are, and missing any critical apparatus. There will be some critical apparatus in these, or generally there is. This one here is volume 3. Pippa Passes, King Victor and King Charles, The Return of the Druses, and A Soul's Tragedy. And there's a frontispiece of the man himself when he was younger. And this is unopened. So this has never been opened up. Really no need to cut that page, though, really, to open it there. Doesn't say, there's no, I don't think there really is any critical apparatus with that. And I'm not sure, there's really no need to go through like each volume with this unless there's something special. It's all a uniform set. It's 18. This is volume 5 and volume 6. And that was volume 4 and volume 5. Volume 6 and volume 7. There's a little roughness to these, but they're not bad. I should be taking this opportunity to clean the tops. And I've got my trusty makeup brush. There's 2 things that give me pleasure here in the UK. Is to walk into, say, a pharmacy and go up to the makeup and ask for a makeup brush. I always get strange looks, but I do it with a straight face. The other thing is braces. I wear braces. And in Canada and US, people would call them suspenders as well, but suspenders here are basically for nylons, for stockings. So I used to like going into the men's department and say, I want to buy some suspenders, straight-faced. And they didn't quite know what to do. So that was always fun. But yeah, there's a bit of damage. Can you see it there? Yeah. It's like somebody's nicked it there. And there's a bit of wear to it, but they're not bad. As I say, they were extremely cheap, so it was well worth getting the set. And again, volume 8, 9, and 10. Yeah, like I say, I'm not going to dwell too much on these, I don't think. Well, there's actually some nice frontispieces, so maybe we should. I'll start here then. Some coins. Not sure what this is. This is Scud of Innocent the 12th, dated 1696, reproducing the Pope on... I can't, sorry, it's just that the lighting's pretty bad here. And this one is volume 8, The Ring and the Book, volume 1. And there was the original title page. This is volume 9, which will be The Ring and the Book, volume 2. Again, it's just nicely laid out, nice printing, which I like very much, especially now as my eyesight is going a little bit more than it ever was. That's volume 10. And, oops, they're sliding off each other here. Let's see here, this is volume 11, and yeah, it just always seems a few of them have these. Balsatin's Adventure, Prince Hosenstiel, Schwarzgau, and Fifine at the Fair. So yeah, again, same configuration. Volume 13, which has Red Cotton Nightcap, Country, the End album. And volume 13, oh, that must have been volume 12. Yeah, that was volume 12, this is volume 13. And Aristophanes' Apology and the Agamemnon of Achilles. And volume 14, a little bit scuffing to covers, but not bad. This is Pachacauto and How He Walked in Distemper with Other Poems. And this was 1889 we're getting into, so it's 1888 to 1889. And this is volume 15. Dramatic Idols and Jacosaria, 1889 again. So yeah, volume 15. And volume 16. Volume 16. First fancies and parlayings with certain people. And there is Browning as he's older. Almost looks Dickensian in some ways. And volume 18 is it's unopened, that's why it's a little difficult. It's Alsando and biographical and historical notes to the poems. So that's volume 8, the 18 volumes, nice little set. The next set, that was, there was a few other books that were on that shelf, so yeah, let me grab these. This is English Sonnets by Harrop. It's selected by William Robertson, London, George and Harrop and Company, Calcutta, Sydney, 1913. It's a second edition. It's just a collection, compilation of poetry. It's just your general one. Starts out with Adcock, 1864. Well, they're not chronological, so it's a mixture of everything. But it's quite nice. I like the little designs and the printing. And I think this was probably 50p or something like that, or less. Here's some interesting ones. I like the buckram, and I kind of like these where the label is just stuck on. And this is Reliques. It's Chandos Classic, which are kind of nice. I do like the design of them. They were cheap. They were cheap editions. This is by Frederick Warren and Company, Bedford Street, The Strand, around 1880. It's the Reliques of Ancient English Poetry, consisting old heroic ballads, songs, etc., by Thomas Percy. A new edition, edited by Edward Walford, M.A., with a glossary and life. Now, the printing is quite small on these, and they always are, but there's a lot in there. And this was sort of the standard. There's just a collection of old English poetry. And another Chandos volume of poems and plays of Oliver Goldsmith, with an edition of the Vicar of Wakefield's memoir, etc. Frederick and Warren as well. I don't see a date on this one. Is there something in the back? No. But yeah, the printing is a little better. It's a little easier to see, but it's most, I think, if not all, of Goldsmith's poems. So that's quite nice, and I always try to pick up Chandos when I see them. They're always quite nice. Now, on to the second shelf down. That would have been this one here, and that green set. Now, this is quite nice. It's a library edition of the poetic... what's the full title? Nichols Library Edition of the British Poets in 42 volumes. And I don't have all 42. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 14 volumes. I will clean these off as I go. They're gilt edge on the top, nicely bound with inset gold. It's got an interesting bookplate in each one. Now, I did look that up at the time. Edward Joyce Winnie House. That house is still standing, and it's turned into flats. And I found a picture that was taken of it. Might have been made into a postcard by Francis Frith. And it was interesting. I think it was a year or two after. This is 1879. I think it was in the 1880s that it was taken. So it was kind of interesting that there was a photo I found that this set would have been in the library there. What happened to the other volumes, I don't know. I bought this off of an eBay seller. As I say, there was 14 volumes. I think I got it for like £10 with shipping. I couldn't believe it. So it's a miscellaneous stuff, but this is published 1863, this one, is the poetical works of William Shenstone, with a life and critical dissertation and explanatory notes by the Reverend George Gilfillan, the text edited by Charles Cowden Clarke. And it is quite nice. It's the printing. I'd love to get the complete set of this in this binding, because it's really, really nice. And this is volume 1 of Butler's Poetical Works, again with a life and critical dissertation by the Reverend George Gilfillan, the text edited by Charles Cowden Clarke. It's in 2 volumes. This is Edinburgh, James Nichol, 1862. This one is actually 1862. That's volume 1. Volume 2 is 1862 as well. And it's the same text edited by Cowden Clark, and the same bookplate in every single one. And again, these have not been opened. There's pages that have not been cut, as this one. It's definitely an unopened copy. And I have not got through to open those yet, because, as I say, they were so cheap, and I have perused some of the material, but not all of it. And this is Poetical Works of Armstrong, Dyer, and Green, with memoir and critical dissertations by Reverend George Gilliffin. And this is 1863. And again, it's unopened. Oh, they all have a nice little ribbon. However, the ribbon has stained the page, as you can see there. You can see the shadow of where it was sitting. But yeah, and Poetical Works of, so this is volume 32, so they're not even in order. This is Poetical Works of Beattie, Blair, and Falconer, and this is 1864. And again, the same thing with the ribbon, and you can see the shadow where it's left there, the staining, and unopened. And there's some foxing on the pages as well. Yeah, still eminently nice. And this is, overall, this one is volume 26. See, there's the half title page and the full title page, or the series title page. The title pages of Poetical Works of Johnson, Parnell, Gray, and Smollett, 1863. Thicker one here. Overall volume number 20. And it's the Poetical Works of Matthew Prior, 1863. Again. Poetical Works of George Herbert, 1865. And this is volume 13. So, oh no, some of those must have been earlier, because yeah, they seem to be out of date anyway. But it's 1850s and 60s that these were published. And as I say, these are the library edition of it, so they're bound differently. Volume 21. This is Poetical Works of Joseph Addison, Gay's Fables, and Somerville's Chase. Memoir again by the George Gilliffin and edited by Charles Cowden Clark. This is 1863. Again, the same bookplate. And this is in 3 volume specimens with memoirs of the lesser-known British poets, with an introductory essay by Reverend George Gilliffin. This is volume 11 out of the series, and it is 1864. And the other 2 volumes are here. So I do, when they're multi-volume sections, I do have the complete parts, but they are not continuous. This is volume 41 actually. So I have the last couple volumes. Specimens of less known British poets. What was the volume number of that one? Volume 1 is it's volume 40. So I have 40, 41, and 42 are the 3 volumes of the lesser known British poets. And volume 3 as well. Let's see here. Yeah, volume 42. So, and then there are 2 more. There is, the cloth is rippling there, so it wasn't laid down too well. This is poetical works of Richard Crashaw and Quarles Emblems. Quarles Emblems. And this is 1862. And this must be an earlier volume. Yeah, it's volume 11. And the last volume that I have is the poetic works of Mark Akenside. And that's volume 28. And that was published in 1863. It seems like that seems very strange, because they seem to be published, like the later volumes, before the earlier volumes at times. Okay, on the rest of that shelf, there were a couple things that are quite interesting. And I'm looking at the timer. I'm not sure I'm going to be able to get through to the rest of them here on the third shelf. This is the Oxford Nursery Rhyme book by Iona and Peter Opie. It's Oxford at the Clarendon Press. It's about the 4th, 5th printing, 1967, originally 1955. They were a husband and wife team that collected nursery rhymes. They don't know too much about them, but that's what they spent their life with sort of children's literature, and they collected this stuff, and they basically were, didn't even have food at times, and they were collecting this, and it was a lifelong thing for them, and they're well known as scholarship in this area, but they didn't receive any sort of accolades until almost their death. There's a few others here that are similar to this. What is it here? This is their Oxford Dictionary of Nursery Rhymes. I'll take that off the shelf there now. And this was published. This is quite interesting. There's bits and pieces in here. Newspaper cutting. Monster, Myth, or Truth. That's from the Daily Mirror, 1984, page 24. And on the title page, there's some stamps. And I'll take them out to show the title page. It's Oxford as well. It's the Oxford Dictionary of Nursery Rhymes. And that's originally 51. This is reprinted, corrected, 52. And it's a 1966 printing. Let me put these stamps back in to where they were. So that's the other one, is the Oxford Nursery Rhyme book, so they go together. But there's another one here that I picked up with them. It's not so much pure poetry. It's their, it's a lore and language of school children, 1959. And Yeah, 1959, and it does have some poetry in, but it is the language and lore of school children, and they've done a lot of stuff. It's like they were pioneers in the area of their study. The other book that I have is a similar thing that should be kept together: popular rhymes, nursery tales of England, collected by James Orchard Halliwell, decorated by Maureen Roffey. I should keep these all together. This is the Bodley Head. 1903rd edition. This edition first published in 1970. Yeah, it was originally 70. Looks like uniform with the edition. There's nursery rhymes of England, popular tales of the Norse, Celtic fairy tales, and English fairy tales. They'd be nice to collect, to get those as well. So there's that, and it just goes through mostly poetry. So hence it's in the poetry section. I should keep those together, so I'm going to keep those aside now. The last book on that shelf is, again, a compendium of items. Is Arthur Mee's book of 1,000 Beautiful Things. He did a editor of children's news for Hodder and Stoughton. There's no date to this, but it's turn of the 19th, 20th century, or just first part of the 20th century. And there's a nice frontispiece here. It's Madame Le Brun's portrait of Count d'Hispanic in the Wallace collection. It's got a lot of poetry, but there's a lot of prose as well. As you can see, there's poetry there with prose. It's just a compendium of stuff of just, as he said, there's 1,000 items, 1,000 chosen from the life and literature of the world. 1,000 Beautiful Things by Arthur Mee. So that's it there. So we'll end it there, and I'll come back with another. We'll do the third shelf at the very least, because there's many books on there. But I hope this is the beginning of what I should be able to continue. It'll take a little while to upload this video, but as soon as that's done, I will get on to the third shelf. So thank you very much, BookTube, and thanks for everybody who voted, and I hope you enjoy it. Thank you.